There's a dynamic that I think occurs in a lot of families that has to do with enabling as a way of perpetuating suffering. Let's say, for example, that you had a father that was abusive in some way or did something that was hurtful, that traumatized you perhaps in some way. But time has gone by, maybe he's mellowed out or dead or gone somewhere, and you have a relatively good relationship with your mom. And you don't want to upset that relationship, even though your mom is in denial about what really happened, or questions whether or not it really happened the way you remember it, or she perhaps in some ways was an enabler. And so here we have a generational challenge for you. What do you do with this situation? You know that if you push it, you're going to upset your mom. And I'm using mom and dad in that particular example, but it can happen in any direction with all kinds of different family members or friends or whatever. Now, what I've witnessed many times over is that people are anxious or depressed or both, suffering in their life, because even if they have come to terms with one of the parents in this scenario, they haven't come to terms with the good one, the relatively good one, the one that was not overtly abusive, but perhaps was an enabler, or perhaps did more passive-aggressive things. And so what I believe happens is that there's this tendency for children to dichotomize. If they're in a dysfunctional home, it's almost too overwhelming to think of having two bad parents. So the dichotomy comes from, well, this one is overtly bad, so the other one must be good, right? Not necessarily. They might both have issues. And a lot of times people cannot break their cycles of attracting the same kinds of negative experiences and dysfunctional relationships in their own life because they haven't dealt with that good parent, the one that was an enabler, or the one that was more passive in their dysfunction. So what I think that people have to do to break that pattern of dysfunction in their life is to make sure that they have dealt directly with both parents, if both of them, had issues and were dysfunctional in some way, or if one is in denial about something, then dealing with it. And the greatest challenge that comes with that is the fear of loss. And it's a very real fear, because it could be that if you are not an enabler and that you challenge systems like that, then you'll be pushed away. And that's why it's so important to figure out how to take care of yourself. Because if you know how to take care of yourself and you're willing to risk loss, then you don't carry with you that inner schism that comes from supposedly being close with somebody who has denied you in some way or been abusive, whether it's direct or indirect. Because if you are, trying to have a positive relationship with somebody that you unconsciously or semi-consciously resent, that says that you deserve in your life people that don't respect you. And that leads to attracting negative relationships. So the only way to break the patterns of dysfunction in your own life are to deal with the dysfunction of the past directly and confront and talk to people about it. And if they own their stuff, then that's great. Then there's healing there. You don't have that burden anymore. If they don't, then you may have to let go. I believe in this Western culture, and it happens all over the world, but where we're influenced by Christian religion, we have this challenge of struggling with honor thy mother and father. and how that concept has been used by the egos of parents everywhere to perpetuate their dysfunctional behavior and to expect to be honored even if they have not earned your honor. And if they've not earned your respect, they still want to demand it. And this is a power struggle. And you can't feed into it. You're not going to go to hell. There is no hell, first of all. And you're certainly not going to be punished by God for stopping the enabling that is going on in families and other relationships all over the place because of fear. Things need to be dealt with directly. And if there's not a willingness to deal with these things and heal them, sometimes it is best to let go of relationships, no matter how long you have been in them, or no matter how long this person has been a family member or a friend or a loved one. People are suffering all over the place. They hide it well, and they perform rather eloquently in their day-to-day activities. But there's a great deal of suffering, and this particular form of suffering, which is caused by enabling and avoiding directly dealing with things, is something I wanted to share and encourage you to break the habit of, because it's a very common problem and it creates a lot of pain for the people that partake in that kind of situation. Thanks for listening.